What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Recap Lunch Hour with yours truly, Ryan McGuffey. There's some stuff out there. I saw Cap tweeting away that we're coming live to you at 12:30. He got me all knocked off guard. The guy's in Jamaica having beers. And he's tweeting about what time we're going live. Come on, Cap. Lunch hour for you, bud, is a long day. So be careful. Have another. Enjoy the warm sun. Plenty to get to here on the Recap Lunch Hour. I got a couple things to tell you, a couple things to promote. We're going to be doing a giveaway tomorrow right here on the Recap Lunch Hour. It's pretty exciting stuff. Compliments of my guys at SEO Level Up, Tommy and Bob. I'll get to that in a little bit. But got a couple topics I want to hit you up with. First off, I want to know, where's your go-to sandwich place, whether it's Chicago, suburbs, whatever. I just had an amazing club sub from my people over at Tony's Deli in Edison Park, which is a must-stop go-to. Have to have it. I just did. I saved a half to show, but I just downed it. So let's talk about the Bears, who are now on their off day. And it's a question Cap posed yesterday on the Recap Rush Hour that might make some people laugh and scratch their head, but you really got to look at it and consider it. Are the Bears a top 12 team / elite? So like, if we're going to call the top 12 teams in the NFL elite, are the Bears in that conversation right now? And honestly, I think you have to consider them. Right now, they're a playoff team. They're the 7th seed as of today. Ironically, if the Bears if the season ended today, and I know, look, folks, it's October 22nd, okay? So I get it. You know, we're talking about playoffs, but we've been that starved. But ironically, the Bears would play the Commanders in the playoffs in Washington if the season ended today. So looking ahead to this weekend, is this a playoff preview? Possibly. Right now, it would be the actual matchup in the first round. The Bears would travel to the 2 seed because, as we know, there's only one bye per conference now with the new 7-team format. And the Bears would hold the tiebreaker over the Eagles and get in as that 7th seed. So what do you think? I want to hear from you. You know, are the Bears a top 12 elite team as of today? William, I got to get to you right away. I love it. Das corned beef and Alsip. I mean, I love that that's what you're thinking, man. Maybe you had one. Did you have a corned beef today, William? What do we got? You're home with a 1-pounder? A 1-pound sandwich? My goodness. I might have to put, you know what? I'm going to put that in my notes right now. Alsip. The 1-pound corned beef on a Tuesday? Dude, what's going on? No, I'll get to, let's hold the baseball. I'm going to get to baseball here in a second. Do you think the Cubs will trade Nico Horner? It was a popular question yesterday as well. I do think that the Cubs should consider it. So let's get there in a second. William, yes, sir. You had one today. I love it. William right now, like the clubhouse leader with the comment coming hard with a 1-pound sandwich on a Tuesday. That, my friend, impressive. So want to hear about the Bears. I don't think – I know Dan Quinn yesterday for the Commanders said that Jaden Daniels is week to week, but he could play if he passes. They're going to take it easy because he's a rookie, et cetera, et cetera. That to me sounds like a guy who's not going to suit up. There's a long way between now and 3:25 p.m. Sunday. And I know, certainly the networks wanted the Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams matchup because they flexed the game from noon to 3:25. I think the average fan would say, yeah, give me that matchup. But Marcus Mariota, Caleb Williams, it's sexy. It might not have the 1 versus 2 pick appeal, but look, the Commanders are 5-2. They need to protect their investment of Jaden Daniels and protect the fact that they're right now looking at they're playing for the top seed in the NFC as we speak. Are they better than the Lions? Under no circumstance, I believe. The Lions to me it's the Lions and Chiefs. Those are 1 and 2. If we're going to use the word elite, which we have right there on the screen, those are 2 teams are elite. The Bears are more of the top 12 team than they are the elite team. So want to hear from you on that. Also, we were just talking about baseball a little bit with Nico Horner, and I'll get to that question here in a second. But, The White Sox, there's a lot of rumors out there that the White Sox could be naming a manager as soon as this week. The World Series doesn't start until Friday. And with those off days, Major League Baseball doesn't like big announcements happening when their biggest showcase. Literally, this might be the biggest World Series for networks ever. Dodgers, Yankees. This is as good as it gets from a network perspective. I'm curious to see what the ratings will be, not just in New York and LA, but just here in Chicago and elsewhere. And, that's one thing. So leading up to the World Series, there are some off days here where the White Sox and teams that don't have managers could make an announcement. Sean, you're sticking to the Yankees in 6, man. Like we should bet. Is it, hey, William, is it Das corned beef? Das? That's the place. And if it's so, maybe we should throw a little corned beef sandwich on the line for a bet. Because I'm going for the Dodgers in 6. I want to see Kopech record the last out. Call me crazy. I want to see Kopech record the last out of the World Series. Before we'll talk about the Sox manager here in a second. Christian, I want to get to you. The Bears secondary is banged up, which is worrying. True. I do expect that we will see Jaquan Brisker on Sunday. That would be over 2 weeks since his concussion. I know that Matt Eberflus yesterday said that the Bears, he had a couple of hurdles to clear still. Again, a long way between now and Sunday. You're talking about 3 full weeks since he suffered that concussion when we get to Sunday. So I expect Brisker back. Kyler Gordon, that'll be interesting to see. You're right, Christian, that the secondary is banged up, but I don't think that there's any injury out there in the secondary that's like a red flag or, we're sounding the worry sirens, because I think all of these are week-to-week type injuries. Certainly a concussion is. So let's just wait and see. The ones, they have a lot of depth at that spot. I mean, it's just their back four is any good in football, and their depth as well is as good as anybody in football. So I do agree with you. You can't take licks like that. You can't have guys like Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon protect Jalen Johnson. Obviously, he's been a top 3 corner in the league. I think he's using that not a top 100 guy personally as motivation this year. So I do agree that it is worrying, but let's wait and see. Let's pump the brakes. It's been a long time since we've seen the Bears play. I said yesterday that it feels almost like 3 weeks because they played at 8:30 in the morning in London. So by the time the noon kickoff game started, we missed an entire Sunday. We waited a week. Then we had no Bears at all last weekend. Now we're kind of waiting to get to Sunday. It just feels like we've had almost 3 weeks. The type of manager the White Sox should be looking for, I think he should be young for sure, relatable to players, and quite frankly, it should mirror what you're trying to do. And this team is deep in a rebuild, like so deep in it that I think you're looking at a minor league type manager. Grady Sizemore. I don't want to say Grady Sizemore-esque because he had no managerial experience when he got the interim gig. So I'm looking more at like, you got guys in your own system. Justin Jersley was I got promoted to third base coach after Pedro Grifol was fired. If you look at the type of names, the Will Venables out there that they've already interviewed, Bruce Levine and I co-host Inside the Clubhouse on 670 The Score on Saturdays. He said that Venable had already been interviewed. So that's interesting. You got McCullough in for the Dodgers. The first base coach of the Dodgers is that here, I'm going to give you some more. Clayton McCullough. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on him because this is the guy that many believe is the front runner for the Chicago White Sox. He was promoted to the first base coaching spot in the 2021 season. He's young. He's learned under Dave Roberts and been part of an elite organization. So, we'll see what the White Sox do. I will say this. The White Sox Recap podcast is taping its first episode today. I'm jacked up about it. It's the first time I'm going to be back in the White Sox podcast world since my separation from NBC Sports Chicago and the partnership I had with my longtime friend Chuck Garfine on the White Sox Talk podcast. So big news, big excitement for me. Brian Anderson will be my co-host, the former White Sox first-round pick. That's going to be awesome. I mean, the two of us get along, and we're going to spar here and there. We're going to go at it. We're going to talk about who the White Sox should look at as their manager, and we're going to have a ton of fun. So look for that to drop late tonight and certainly into tomorrow morning. Daniel Descalco. This is a good. I saw his name recently, Sean. It'd be an interesting, I think, pick because here's a guy who was just a player a few years ago, has been learning in a good organization, and has that relatable. I'm bringing him up right now just so to give everybody. He's only 38 years old. Okay, he just stopped. His last year was 2019 with the Cubs, so he has been. With, why am I? Okay. So he's been with the Minnesota Twins organization. He managed their AAA team a few years ago, and he was the bench coach of the St. Louis Cardinals this year, which quite frankly, I don't know why the St. Louis Cardinals are holding on to their manager when they might have one right there. I like that option a lot, Sean. I think somebody like that who's like an up-and-coming guy that's been on a staff. Christian, is Schumacher too high profile for the Sox? I don't think he's too high profile. I think he's in the mix. I've heard in my circle, that he's not really all that interested. Now, there's only 30 plus of these jobs in the world. So I guess if he was offered and nothing else was there, would he take it or would he hold out for a year? He was just the NL Manager of the Year in 2023. So I've heard he doesn't want it. I'm not saying that that's official, but he might be looking for what actually comes after the World Series if there's any other surprises. Keep in mind, last year the Cubs fired David Ross at the GM meetings the first week in November. That no one saw that coming. Craig Counsell was available. Cubs pounced. Something like that could happen. I thought that the Dodgers and Yankees were two teams that could have openings if they were to bow out early. I don't see any scenario where either Dave Roberts or Aaron Boone are fired at this point. But I don't think Schumacher's too high profile. I just don't know, because he won a Manager of the Year, is knowing where the White Sox are, is this a spot where he would want to be? I think he makes sense for the White Sox. I just don't know if that's where we are. And then I wanted to talk about this a little bit too, as we move on around the sports world. This to me is a little bit laughable. I will find it here in a second. Bronny James is being bet as a long shot by many at 250-1 to win Rookie of the Year. As I said there, seriously, just give me your money. I mean, what do we do? The NBA season tips off tonight. Celtics, Knicks should be a great one. I talked yesterday that the Bulls, I think, I'm curious about the Bulls. So, we'll take OD. Come on, bud. I agree with you. Bronny's Rookie of the Year. Yes, give Guff or me your money. Again, I at least I'll take your 10 or $20 and at least allocate it towards a bet I think that's worth winning. Okay. And you know what? We'll save the tape here. We'll come back. If Bronny James is the Rookie of the Year, maybe we'll have a pizza party on my behalf, because I just don't see any scenario. I mean, a lot of people, if you're reading what's going on, a lot of people are saying, even watching him, that he just doesn't look like he's had enough experience to be an NBA player. Shocking. Sean, going back to the managerial stuff. Well, David Ross. See, I love David Ross. Experience with the guy. The dude's awesome. I think he's a good manager. He's another one. Held out. Took the year off. You haven't heard from him much. He wants to manage again. The White Sox make zero sense for him. He's played himself into a higher role, in my opinion. I think the Cardinals would be worth watching and a lot of fun. That if there were an opening there and David Ross pounced, that would be interesting. But I'm here back to my guy, OD Green. Come on, man. 250-1 is, that's juicy. But Zach Edey, if you were in on the Zach Edey train before the Summer League. You could get Zach Edey Rookie of the Year at 20-1 in a lot of books. 20-1. Now he's the favorite to win Rookie of the Year at plus 275 entering the season. So think about that, how quickly times change. I do want to say that tomorrow, we will be giving away Bulls tickets to their home opener on Saturday night. So I'm going to put this out here for everybody. Tomorrow on the recap lunch hour, not the rush hour, I'll give away Bulls tickets. Okay. A pair of Bulls tickets to the home opener on Saturday night. I'm going to give you a trivia question. This is all on behalf of my guys at SEO Level Up. Okay. These guys are the best in the world at what they do. Tommy and Bob, of course, are my two guys, but they design websites and search engine optimization experts, and they're the official digital marketing team of us here at the Recap. And I'm telling you right now, I talk to these guys on an almost daily basis. They've been a very big part of what we do and the success we've had. And the fact that we're going to be able to give away a pair of home opener tickets on Saturday night against Oklahoma City, big thanks and shout out to them. And we'll certainly do it tomorrow. Bulls tickets. Okay. So there you go. I'll give away a pair of Bulls tickets tomorrow right here. We will promote it all throughout the night, certainly into the morning of tomorrow and a whole bunch of other stuff. So any other questions, comments before we get out of here, fire away. But I'm telling you right now, folks, a lot to look forward to this weekend with the Bears. The Bulls got me curious, man. I'm telling you, they're just kind of this hodgepodge of misfits. And usually those when misfits come together, they head one of two ways. They are either a group that just rallies together and surprises the world, or they're a miserable mess and they fall apart and pieces are dealt. So I don't really think there's much in between. We've seen a lot of mediocrity from the Chicago Bulls the last 10 seasons or so, certainly the last 5. And that'll be interesting. So we're going to wrap things up here. Remember, the White Sox Recap Podcast. It makes its debut. We're going to be taping an episode here later this afternoon. Myself, former first-round pick, 2005 champion, 2008 blackout game, diving catch to end the game. Brian Anderson will be my co-host, and we will get into all things White Sox. We'll have zero fun and be a miserable pair. No, I'm kidding. He's going to be the best. He's one of my favorite people. And we'll keep doing the rush hour. We'll keep doing the rush hour. We'll also keep doing the lunch hour because I just polished off a sandwich, and I'm really looking at William. I'm going to look up this 1 pound corned beef and Alsip that you're talking about, and go from there. Chris Rocco throwing in a question here at the end. What's the budget for White Sox manager? That will determine who gets the job. I would say minimal. I mean, Pedro Grifol was one of the least, or one of the most, one of the lower paid managers in the game. The White Sox never make their contracts of their coaching staff and front office public. It's the one spot that they don't. They do make their player contracts public. A lot of teams don't even do that. A lot of teams will just say a 3-year deal. It gets out on social media a lot by the insiders, by Passan, Rosenthal, etc. But the White Sox never put a number on their manager. Even the bigger names, I don't see a situation like, Craig Counsell obviously got $8 million a year to manage the Cubs, the highest ever for any manager in Major League Baseball history. I don't see any scenario the White Sox would ever do that under any circumstance with anyone. I think, Chris, to answer your question, like you look at the Reds who just went out and identified, Terry Francona as a guy. Like they got Terry Francona, they paid him. That to me signals, it's kind of like Bruce Bochy with the Rangers 2 years ago. It signals where you are as an organization and what you plan to do in the offseason. And that's what I think the White Sox need to do about this particular job. You need to know who you are. You need to know where you're going. And you need to have a manager that lines up with that decision and with that thinking. You can't, like, if, let's just say, for argument's sake, that Terry Francona was still out there. Terry Francona would confuse me if the White Sox signed him because they don't have they don't have a team that matches up to a guy that's trying to win a World Series. So, Chris, I would expect this to be a manager that is probably in the $750,000 to $1 million range. That will probably be in the bottom 10 of salary for managers. And I think it's going to mirror what the White Sox are doing on the field, which is a rebuild. If you think about it, if they improve 20 games next year, 20 games, they will be 61 and 101. Think about that. They improved 20 games. Like most teams, they may lead baseball by improving plus 20, and they would have 61 wins. So they are a long way from seeing the other side of this thing. They've lost 222 games in 2 seasons. It exhausts me. I think some gray hairs are in here because of the White Sox. That is the things I do, the things we all do. I wish the White Sox don't make me drink water. I can tell you that. All right, folks, the recap lunch hour is coming to a halt here tomorrow. Be here. Pair of tickets. You have to be able to go to the game. You got to be able to go to the game. Saturday night, Bulls at the United Center. Home opener against Oklahoma City, who was the 1 seed in the West last year. I think they were the 1 seed, one or 2 seed in the West last year. So great game, great opportunity. We'll talk more about it throughout the day and into the evening. And for now, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go eat the rest of my sandwich from Tony's Deli, and then I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes salivating at a picture of a corned beef sandwich at Das and Alsip from our guy William. All right, I thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been the Recap Lunch Hour. I'm Ryan McGuffey. Take that, Cap.